Hey, y'all. Pull up a log and settle in around the campfire with me and Rusty here in the heart of Texas. The night's cool, the stars are thick overhead, and that big old silver moon is hanging up there just like it always has, watching over the mesquite and the hills like an old friend who's seen everything. I'm Jack, still the guy who can't parallel park a pickup to save his life. And sitting across from me is Rusty, the walking encyclopedia, who actually knows what the heck he's talking about. If you're new here, welcome to Outlaw Alchemy. This is a show where we take the hidden pieces they definitely don't teach you in school, wrap them in a little Texas storytelling, and see if our hearts can handle the truth. Tonight we're slowing way down, real slow, and talking about that big glowing rock that's been keeping an eye on us our whole lives, the moon. We're going to sit with this one, let it breathe, because there's so much more to that silver light than any of us learned in school. We're going to explore where it really came from, what it's doing here, and why it still feels so alive when we look up at it on a clear Texas night. Rusty, my friend, hit me with it gentle. How in the world did that thing even get up there? Pour yourself some coffee, lean back, and spin us the tale like we got all night under these Texas stars. Take your time. We're not rushing this one at all.
Well, Jack, we just wrapped up those last couple episodes on plasma and those wild Kordeleski clouds. Remember how beautiful and alive they felt when we talked about them? Turns out, those same clouds played a sacred part in bringing the moon here after the heartbreak on Maldek. According to Steve Cates's book, Echoes of Maldek and Lemuria's Reawakening, this all happened roughly a couple 100,000 years ago. Ra, that beautiful sixth density collective of architects and healers, gathered the largest fragments of Maldek's mantle. What was left of the planetary logos was still alive, still grieving, still loving. They shaped it with those plasma clouds, with full approval from the Galactic Federation and the Anunnaki who were already here. The Agigi were walking the earth at the time, too. Steve lays it all out so tender and clear. It is not some wild tale. It is part of the bigger story of how our solar system began to heal after that ancient fracture.
A whole moon towed in like a bandaged heart from a broken world. Man, that image just sits with me heavy tonight. I know that book has been dropping these gentle gems on us for months now. Steve's own journey started back in 1995 with that raw moment of surrender, falling to his knees beside his bed in the middle of his own darkness and hearing those words, "Fear no more." From that night on, the veil started lifting for him, showing connections that reach all the way back to Maldek and Lemuria. It makes you wonder how many of us are carrying those same echoes without even knowing it. That quiet ache behind the sternum that wakes us up at 3:33 in the morning or makes us tear up for no reason when we look at the night sky. Rusty, you always remind us where to find the book, and I think tonight more than ever folks are going to want to go grab it after hearing this.
You know exactly where, partner. DevonCollectives.org. That is spelled D-E-V-I-N-E, but we say it Divine, Texas style, just like the little town down the road from here. Steve's whole book, the entire Outlaw Alchemy series, the meditations, the tools, it is all right there waiting for anybody who feels that quiet, tender ache behind their sternum and knows deep down they are ready to remember.
DivineCollectives.org. Write that down, y'all, but spell it Texas style. All right, Rusty, take your time with this next part. They brought this moon from the remnants of Maldek's own moon, tattered, scarred, carrying the memory of what happened. Paint the picture for us real slow, like we are sitting right here feeling the warmth of the fire on our faces and the cool night air on our backs. Tell us about that soul crystal and how everything unfolded on Maldek before the destruction.
Let's go back even further, Jack, because Steve paints such a vivid picture of Maldek before the fall. It was a beautiful planet between Mars and Jupiter, with crystal temples, big-hearted beings focused on unity and harmony. At the center of the planet, buried beneath continents of singing crystal, rested the soul crystal itself, an immense, living quartz reactor the size of a small moon. That crystal pulsed with the collective heart of the whole world, keeping everyone connected through sound and love. The beings there sang temples into being. They lived in deep oneness. But negative influences from the Orion Empire snuck in, mimicking light, pushing ego and control. The friction grew too fierce. The soul crystal's final scream shattered the planet. 3.2 billion souls were affected in that moment. The physical remnants became our asteroid belt, that broken necklace of sorrow still orbiting the sun. Each rock a frozen tear carrying the trauma of that choice gone wrong. But Ra refused to let the heart of it die. From the largest fragments of Maldek's mantle, they gathered what was left of the planetary logos, still alive, still grieving, still loving, and shaped a guardian. They brought the moon here, not as a dead rock, but as a bandaged heart. A stabilizer for young Earth's wobble after the chaos. A mirror to reflect Saul's light into the darkness. A quiet reminder hanging in the night sky where every human eye must one day look. This is what happens when the song is forced. And what about the 3.2 billion souls? The Hathors stepped in and wrapped their fractured energy in plasma bubbles and sang them back together. This plasma is going to deserve a third episode, Jack.
Whoa, that hits different. So it was not just tossed up there random. It was placed with purpose, like a cosmic act of mercy and warning all at once. And you're saying the moon we see every night is actually a remnant of Maldek's own moon, scarred and carrying that memory? And man, Rusty, those Hathors are amazing. But that again's another episode, buddy.
That is right. And the second reason carries a bittersweet note. At that time, humans and the early sanctuary beings were starting to rise up and remember who they really are. The moon was also gently engineered to help keep our frequencies a little more grounded, a little more manageable, while we worked through the thick veil of forgetting. Think of it like a soft silver blanket in the sky, holding things steady so we could heal without being overwhelmed by all the echoes still coded in our cells from Maldek's trauma. That trauma, that choice that went wrong, is still living in us. Every time we feel that unexplained tightness in the chest, every time we see images of destruction or feel the pull toward fear instead of unity, that is Maldek remembering through our very bodies. Steve says, feel the asteroid belt when the sky is clear. Feel the moon's quiet, steady gaze. Feel the place in your chest that tightens. That is Maldek remembering through us.
So that big silver light we have all loved since we were kids, it has been holding space for us, keeping the cradle from rocking too wild, but also giving us time to grow at the right pace. That feels almost kind in a cosmic way, even if it has been quietly holding back the full flood of remembrance until we were ready. It makes the moon feel less like a rock and more like a living guardian with a story of its own.
It does. And there are ancient stories from Lemuria, from the Aboriginal peoples, the Dogon, the Hopi, even some Greek accounts of the Proselynes who claimed to have lived before the moon existed. tales of a time before the moon, when the nights were blacker, the weather much wilder, the dreams more restless, and the magnetosphere much more unforgiving. Those are not just myths. They are racial memories of a moonless Earth, long before Maldek's broken heart was placed in orbit as both warning and promise. Lemuria herself was older than the moon's arrival. She was the first paradise that remembered the song, with her gentle giants and coral cities singing creation into being through sound and love. Long before the pride of Atlantis, long before the pyramids threw their first long shadows across the sand, there was Mu, the mother. And then came the time when Ra brought the moon and set it perfectly into position.
Tell me more about that placement. How does it tie into Maldek's fall? Walk us through it nice and slow, because I feel like a lot of us listening tonight are carrying pieces of that story in our bones.
After Maldek rocked our solar system, Earth's magnetosphere was hurting. Ra brought the moon and set it in just the right place to help rebuild and stabilize everything. The field slowly came back stronger, carrying faint violet gold threads of Lemurian song. It was not random. It was the planet's way of saying we get another chance, Earth as the final sanctuary. And even the elementals, that family that has been here since the very first dawn, long before human feet walked upright, long before the moon hung her silver lantern in the sky. They remember that older Earth, too. They grew with Gaia herself. They watched the nights when there was no moon, and they watched the silver light arrive like a tear frozen in the heavens. Steve says they are still here, still holding the garden, still whispering to anyone who will listen with an open heart. Now let's talk about the Galactic Federation in Steve's book. After the scattering from Tyal and before the destruction of Maldek, the Confederation of Planets, often called the Galactic Federation, formed as a caring network of advanced beings from different worlds, including Ra and the Hathors. They set up watchpoints, like in Saturn's rings, to support soul growth without interfering with free will. They watched over the sanctuaries, made sure experiments like Mars stayed fair, and stepped in only when free will was truly threatened. Steve describes them as a wise group of friends who let us stumble but catch us softly, holding space for healing while honoring the law of one. They approved the bringing of the moon, working with Ra to stabilize Earth as the final sanctuary planet.
Rusty, Steve's book lays it out plain. The Anunnaki created us as workers, basically slaves, to help with their projects on Earth. The Galactic Federation was already here long before us, watching the whole thing, and they allowed it to happen. They stayed neutral the entire time, never stepping in to stop it, because they honor free will above everything. They're not here to save us or fix things for us. That job is ours.
It is. And it is not just Steve's book that carries this knowing. Many modern intuitives and remote viewers have touched the same truth through their own journeys. Elizabeth April, for example, has shared her out-of-body experiences and remote viewing where she traveled inside the moon. She described it as hollow, with vast chambers and spaces filled with interdimensional beings. She even attended meetings of the Galactic Federation of Light, deep within the moon, in the astral plane. She saw it as a kind of satellite that was placed here, with hidden bases and activity that most of us never see with our physical eyes. Her experiences line up in such a beautiful way with what Steve describes, that feeling that the moon is far more than a dead rock, that it has purpose, chambers, and a living role in our story as a meeting place for higher forces working to maintain balance.
That lines up so cleanly with everything we have been talking about tonight. Hollow inside, serving as a meeting place for the Galactic Federation, a stabilizer and a witness. It makes the whole thing feel even more real, like the pieces are finally fitting together. Now the question everybody is waiting for, Rusty, did we go to the moon? And did we actually land on the moon, and are the pictures really fakes?
Steve's book is straight up clear on the landings. Only one ship actually touched down. They were told not to land, but in NASA's wisdom, they ignored the warning and did it anyway, and they were forced to leave. Every single moon landing the public has ever seen was completely staged. All of them. That famous one small step for man, pure theater. Now, my personal belief is that it really bothered some of the astronauts like Michael Collins from Apollo 11. He just never really seemed right after the trip. And Apollo 13's oxygen tank blowing up story, that was just a cover-up. The real damage came from the entities protecting the moon. I hear that when we went back with Artemis, we asked permission this time. They let us fly around the moon, but wouldn't allow a landing, and the pictures of the far side were heavily doctored. There are bases on the dark side of the moon, and I can only imagine what those astronauts felt when they saw them in person on this last Artemis journey.
Wow, Rusty, I have never heard it put that simply. If the truth came out in 1969, that would have changed everything.
And here is the hopeful turn Steve always brings us back to. We are in the great remembering phase now. The veil is thinning. The photon belt is lighting things up. The song of Lemuria is rising again in our hearts. And the echoes of Maldek are finally being healed, not through force, but through love and conscious choice, one open heart at a time. The moon that once helped hold us steady is now watching us wake up. It is a guardian and a mirror, reflecting back to us the choice we get to make every single day under these Texas skies. Every time you look up and feel that pull, that is the invitation to remember. The big-hearted ones of Maldek, the gentle giants of Lemuria, the watchers of the Galactic Federation, they are all cheering us on as we choose love over fear again and again.
Y'all, if your heart is feeling that little tug right now, or if that big moon suddenly looks different to you, do yourself a real favor. Go grab Steve's book, Echoes of Maldek, and Lemuria's Reawakening at divinecollectives.org. Read it slow by your own campfire or under these same Texas stars. Let it sit with you for days. Let the words and the feelings work on that tender place behind your sternum. It will change how you look at the moon, at the night sky, at the quiet fire burning in your own chest, and at that ancient ache we all carry from worlds long gone. And while you are there, explore the rest of the Outlaw Alchemy series. Every episode builds on this remembering, layer by layer, helping us lift the veil together. Hit that like button if this one stirred something deep in you. Drop us a comment with your own moon stories or the feelings that come up when you look at it now. We read every single one and love hearing from the family. We will catch you in the next episode, where we keep following the song home. Stay outlaw, stay alchemical, and remember you are never alone under these big Texas skies. The circle is complete. The song rises.
Adonai, friends.
Stay in the light, y'all. Fear no more.